मूर्ति शिल इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य शिल हरदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन धाम की, वृंदावन मथुरा गोकुल द्वारका धाम की, नवदीप मायापुर धाम की, पुण्य क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की, गंगा मई यमुना माई की, भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की, कलयुग पावन तारण हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shishi Guru and Shishi Gauranga Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Yes Prabhu. Yes Prabhu. छे ना, दरवाजा तो बजाओ।
ऐसे नहीं प्रभु जी, वो स्लीपर नहीं है इसलिए कंफ्यूज।
हरे कृष्णा। So we'll all welcome everybody, especially आज दो भक्तिनियों का बर्थडे है। हाँ, भक्तिन प्रियल और भक्तिन मुत्तु लक्ष्मी। हाँ, मुत्तु लक्ष्मी राइट। सो दोनों का बर्थडे आज, तो उनके लिए एक बार हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र करते हैं शुरू में। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे। हैप्पी बर्थडे टू मुत्तु लक्ष्मी as well as प्रियल। हाँ, so we welcome everybody for this Friday class. Some changes because slippers have to be kept inside because Saudis do not like slippers outside. So it's okay. We start with our regular class 3.6. Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकिं कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय, नमः पंकजमालिने, नमः पंकजनेत्राय, नमस्ते पंकजांग्रये। हरे कृष्णा। चैप्टर 3 कर्मयोग and श्लोक नंबर 6. कर्मेंद्रियाणि संयम्य य आस्ते मनसा स्मरन् indriyārthān vimūḍhātmā mithyācāraḥ ucyate karmendriyāṇi saṁyamya य āste manasā smaran indriyārthān vimūḍhātmā mithyācāraḥ ucyate। हरे कृष्ण। कर्मेंद्रियाणि संयम्य य आस्ते मनसा स्मरन् indriyārthān vimūḍhātmā mithyācāraḥ ucyate। Yes, what happened? कर्मेन्द्रियाणि संयम्य य आस्ते मनसा स्मरन् indriyārthān vimūḍhātmā mithyācāraḥ ucyate karmendriyāṇi saṁyamya
manasā smaran
āste manasā smaran
vimūḍhātmā
indriyārthān vimūḍhātmā
tarasa ucyate
mithyācāraḥ ucyate karmendriyāṇi saṁyamya āste manasā smaran indriyārthān vimūḍhātmā
ucyate
mithyācāraḥ ucyate. Yes, you want to? Okay, no problem. कर्मेंद्रियाणि
karmendriyāṇi
पांचों कर्मेंद्रियों को संयम्य वश में करके यह जो आस्ते रहता है मनसा मन से स्मरण सोचता हुआ इंद्रियार्थान दंभी स वह उच्यते कहलाता है। अनुवाद तात्पर्य वेसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। रिपीट आफ्टर मी। जो कर्मेंद्रियों को वश में तो करता है किंतु जिसका मन इंद्रिय विषयों का चिंतन करता रहता है वह निश्चित रूप से स्वयं को धोखा देता है और मिथ्याचारी कहलाता है। तात्पर्य पढ़ेंगे।
तात्पर्य ऐसे अनेक मिथ्याचारी व्यक्ति होते हैं जो कृष्ण भावनामृत में कार्य तो नहीं करते किंतु ध्यान का दिखावा करते हैं, जबकि वास्तव में वे मन में इंद्रियां भोग का चिंतन करते रहते हैं। ऐसे लोग अपने अबोध शिष्यों को बहकाने के लिए शुष्क दर्शन के विषय में भी व्याख्यान दे सकते हैं, किंतु इस श्लोक के अनुसार वे सबसे बड़े धूर्त हैं। इंद्रियां सुख के लिए किसी भी आश्रम में रह के कर्म किया जा सकता है, किंतु यदि उस विशिष्ट पद का उपयोग विधि विधानों के पालन में किया जाए तो व्यक्ति की क्रमशः आत्मशुद्धि हो सकती है। किंतु जो अपने को योगी बताते हुए इंद्रिय तत्वों के विषय की खोज में लगा रहता है वह सबसे बड़ा धूर्त है। भले ही वह कभी कभी दर्शन का उपदेश क्यों ना दे, उसका ज्ञान व्यर्थ है, क्योंकि ऐसे पापी पुरुष के ज्ञान से सारे फल भगवान की माया द्वारा हर लिए जाते हैं। ऐसे धूर्त का चित्त सदैव अशुद्ध रहता है, अतएव उसके यौगिक ध्यान का कोई अर्थ नहीं है।
हरि बोल। हरि ओम तत्सत्। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सगणा ललितां श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, Adhyay 3, Karma Yoga. So, we are discussing on the chapter Karma Yoga. So, last time we took chapter, the shloka number 5th. We'll have a quick recap on the 5, and then we'll discuss 6 and probably go for 7 also today. Yes. Hare Krishna. 5 ka. 5 was a topic. What do you read?
Like the three modes of material
Nature.
every moment.
Yes. Okay.
And this material energy is it's God's own energy.
Yeah, it's God's own.
Is it right?
Yes.
And we have a choice to choose between Maya and
Krishna. So that's what. So one more higher energy of Krishna is also there, and in which includes this Jivatma. So that is some points. Yes, true. Anything else?
Last time we discussed that there is not possible that we will not do work. Every time we have to do work.
We have to do work.
Because this is the nature of Prakriti, and this body is made from the Prakriti, so it has to work.
Yeah.
What we have the choice that either do which kind of work we have to do, either the Krishna conscious or other than that.
Other than that, yes.
It's up to us.
Hare Krishna.
But do.
Hare Krishna. Welcome, Prabhu. बहुत दिनों बाद में दिखे प्रभु. हाँ. बहुत दिनों बाद में दिखे प्रभु. Welcome. Hare Krishna. Yoganand Prabhu, इधर आ जाओ. I said you came after many days, Prabhu. Very good. Welcome.
आपसे क्रिकेट का कुछ नहीं पूछा जाता.
क्रिकेट का छूट गया अब तो आजकल. So yes, Prabhu validly said.
puppet show.
We took the example of a puppet show. So we said, like the nature of this, we are subject to work because we are forced to work, right? And that force is because of our nature. So, it is inevitable that, we as Atma can stay stable without any activity. Which kind of work you do, that exactly on depends, that whether you are surrendered to Krishna, then Krishna says that, this material nature will not disturb you. Okay, you can cross beyond it. But if you are not surrendered, then material nature is also nothing but the energy of Krishna, and it will act and make you to forcefully do the works. How works comes to you, how temptations come to you, it all depends again on because nature will provide you all that. Now it is up to you. How do you? Because they have come in front of you because of all your requirements. Because, we also read that, Prakriti provides these things, and it is the higher energy, that is Jivatma. We exploit that energy. So for exploitation, things may come in front of us. Now, how it is up to us that how do we exploit them, whether in Krishna consciousness or for our bhog consciousness.
Inaction is impossible.
Impossible.
Nice word, it's a predisposition.
Yeah, predisposition is towards doing action.
Even
Yes.
not choosing to do anything is also an action.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Anyway, in this case about who is the doer.
Yeah. So that's what.
Maybe that was the noise going to.
No, that was not.
Discussion.
No, it is not what last week. It is only about one day I got a call. So it was all that.
Intense discussion.
Yeah, it's okay. Who is the doer is always an intense discussion from because various philosophers have put it in various ways.
But,
That's the whole thing.
It was,
Yeah, Jivatma. It is ultimately the doer is Jivatma because everything. See, as the Jivatma cannot sit idle, it has to do some work, and the ultimate doer is Jivatma. How best he can do that is what is entire by taking the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, how best we can dovetail these activities and get purified and go, because ultimately the nature is to get purified and then go back. That's what entire Bhagavad Gita is spoken for that reason only, right? Okay, one of the reason.
Clearly written in 18 अध्याय. जो आत्मा को काम करने समर्थ है वो किसना कहते हैं मतलब मैं 100% sure मतलब.
Okay, That's what I said. I'll get back to you because कई बार क्या होता है कि you'll have to. I'll get back to you on that because the exact specific point on the doer, because it is Atma for the purpose of Atma. It is ultimately Atma which it has to get purified and go.
18 श्लोक 16 ओपन करें,
हाँ।
अध्याय
हाँ।
16 श्लोक
Okay.
ओपन करें, उसमें कहता है लिहाजा जो इन पांच जो पांच
हाँ,
चीजें
5 कारण है। हाँ,
उनको ना मानकर अपने आप को कर्ता मानता है, यानी कि
हाँ।
आत्मा को कर्ता मानता है,
Yeah.
वो यकीनन कम अक्ल होता है
हाँ।
और वो हकीकत से बेखबर है।
Yeah. That's what.
Clearly saying that Atma is not a
No. So that itself means 1816. That's what we have quoted also, that there are 5 kinds of doers. Because it is not that you think that you will do, but then you alone cannot do. There are other factors also which will come into factor. So you have to give the aspect of those factors also.
But that was not the outcome of the action.
No. For any action to happen, 5. No.
Result.
For any action to happen, there are 5 things to correct. Means 5 things to sanction. So in that way, that's what one of the doer comes out to be Atma. Okay. And all the 5 doers comes out to be picture. But the question is ultimately it is for the whom. So that is what it is ultimately for the purpose of this Jivatma, that it could go back home, back to Godhead. So any activity we do, those 5 things are required. So 18.16, what Prabhu is saying. Yes.
लेकिन 14 में पढ़े तो उसमें आत्मा का नाम नहीं है कहीं पे भी।
No, Prabhu, I'll just open it.
मतलब जो पता है सोल माइंड और बॉडी।
सेकंड चैप्टर में ये भी तो पढ़ा जब लड़ता में तो भगवान बोलते हैं आत्मा तो प्योर होती है, वो कुछ करती नहीं है, आप टेंशन करने का आत्मा कैसे डुअल? ये तो आत्मा डुअल नहीं, कहीं क्लियर लिखा हुआ है।
डुअर कौन है प्रभु?
डोर में भी सोल
18.14 ना बोल रहे हो? So okay, we will come to that. I'm saying adhishthānam tatha karta karanam cha pratakvidam. Yeah.
और दस प्रभु एक चीज अगर आप बोले तो ऐड करूंगा। अगर ऐसा नहीं होता तो ये पनिशमेंट है, इट वाज डिवाइडेड इनटू 5। जैसे कि ईश्वर, प्रकृति, ये सारी चीजें रहती हैं, लेकिन जब पनिशमेंट मिलता है तो इट इज नॉट डिवाइडेड बाय 5 जो 5 करता है। पनिशमेंट सिर्फ उसको मिलता है जो डिजायर करता है।
अब यार ये कॉन्सेप्ट जो ना आत्मा को पनिशमेंट मिलती है, ये भी एक क्वेश्चन मार्क है। आत्मा को पनिशमेंट कैसे मिलती है?
आत्मा को नहीं मिलती।
अभी आप खुद जवाब दीजिए।
The place of action, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. These are the 5 factors of the action. Without these 5 factors, the action cannot happen. Okay, this was 18.14, right?
यूज क्या हुआ? तो देवम यूज वर्ड हुआ ना क्या?
हाँ,
देव
दैवम, हाँ, दैवम चैवात्र पंचमम। हाँ,
देवम का क्या मतलब होता है?
दैवम का मतलब यहाँ पे सुप्रीम दिया है।
देवम का मतलब प्रारब्ध का है सबने।
ठीक है, that's what
वर्ड है। देवम का मतलब सुप्रीम, जहाँ पे मैं देखा दिया, लेकिन
नहीं, चेष्टा वो आपका जो एंडेवर्स है उसको बोला जाता है। एंडेवर्स
मन की मॉडिफिकेशन
ना एंडेवर्स, यू आर ट्राइंग टू डू एनी वर्क, उसको चेष्टा बोलते हैं।
जो सेंस है ना, सेंस उसको करने वो।
या
देखिए पहला है अधिष्ठान, देखिए स्पेस, दूसरा कर्ता,
यस,
आपका इंकार, तीसरा कारण,
अंकार नहीं, यहाँ पे कर्ता बोल तो खुद स्वयं हो गया। हाँ,
ठीक है
ना वर्कर दिया यहाँ पे वही दिया कि आत्मा इनडायरेक्टली, दैट्स व्हाट इट इज। ओके, देन कारणम,
कारण है जो कि आपका सूक्ष्म
इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स, या
फिर उसको औजार, उसको क्या कहते हैं लोग,
वेरियस सेंसेस, दैट्स व्हाट, जो काम करने का जो
उसके जो परिणाम निकलता है, जो सेंसेस से आपके परिणाम, जो सुनना, और फिर प्रारब्ध, क्योंकि आप
अब ना ये द प्लेस ऑफ एक्शन क्या है?
Place of the action जो बेसिकली होती है आपकी बॉडी, शरीर।
So that's what. So the place of the action is this body, because we are talking about the entire Jnana Yoga. So that is no. Now again, this deals with this, like 13 to 18 will deal with again Jnana Yoga. So we'll have to come back again on this in the detail. So वहाँ पर again from 13 only it starts. That is what is the kshetra. It starts with this body. Okay, and so the place of action is also what is this body and the performer. So who is performing in this body? The Atma. हाँ, क्षेत्रज्ञ, या क्षेत्र, हाँ।
मतलब श्री कृष्ण यहाँ पे अपना डिनाई कर रहे हैं 1816 पे।
1816, let me check. It's saying that there are 5 causes of the body.
या कॉन्ट्रडिक्ट कर सकते हैं कृष्ण।
No, that's what I said.
Combination of factors. That's what I say. There are 5 causes: body, place of action, the doer, self, instruments, senses, mind, tools, different kinds of effort and divine factor unseen. Okay, so your body enables the action, your mind thinks I'm doing it, your senses carry it out, your effort drives the process, and finally there's a greater influence. So एक example दिया है ना कि if you want to write an exam, right? Your body was healthy, you studied, your senses actually worked right with your hands, you chose to do it, but there are things like timing and luck. The 5 items need to work together.
Yes, then only things will happen. Any work will happen. Any work will happen. So that is where जब वो दैव का मतलब होता है सैंक्शन करता.
देव का तो प्रारब्ध हुआ ना कि आप पुराने कर्म जो
ना, ना.
उसमें पुराने कर्म कहाँ है देखो. अगर आप कहते हो देव का मतलब आत्मा है
हाँ.
तो उसमें तो पुराने कर्म
Place of action, the performer, the various sensors and different kinds of चेष्टा जो आप कर रहे हो उस कार्य को करने का.
चेष्टा का मतलब होता है मन की मॉडिफिकेशन.
ना मन की मॉडिफिकेशन नहीं. चेष्टा का मतलब होता है आपकी हाउ डू यू एंडेवर. हाउ डू यू एंडेवर एंड अल्टीमेटली द सुपर सोल का सैंक्शन. उनके बिना तो कार्य नहीं होगा.
तो यहाँ पे आत्मा कहाँ गई? किस जगह पे आपको आत्मा गई?
The place of body, the performer आत्मा ही है प्रभु. The performer is the आत्मा. The place of the action is body, and within this body is the आत्मा only, the performer. हाँ, क्षेत्रज्ञ वाला. Because 13 से लाके 18 you have to understand.
आत्मा को प्यूरिफाई कर.
Yeah.
तो प्यूरिफाई होगी काम के थ्रू.
चलो, we'll come back to our discussion today. We'll discuss this because this is, if you go to 13 point.
वैसे ही है.
हाँ, because see that's what आत्मा वैसे ही purified है. But वो because of this material, हमने क्यों ये लिया था last time? क्योंकि material बॉडी के अंदर ये जो मन बुद्धि अहंकार होता है ये हमको दूषित कर रखता है.
soul interact with material nature,
Yeah.
material mode.
Modes. It acquires the modes.
purify करना.
Yes. So ये contamination को purify करना है. नहीं, in the sense वो contamination को purify करना है. How? वो पर्दा गिरा हुआ है, उस पर्दे को हटाना है. And we are automatically pure. But ये पर्दे की वजह से हम प्योरिटी देख नहीं पाते हैं.
मुझे लगा काम होता है कि बेसिकली सोल प्रोवाइड करता है एक्टिवेशन टू ऑल द सेंसेस. सेंसेस क्या एनर्जी को हम अगर एंगेज करेंगे कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस में तो ऑटोमेटिकली सोल सेंसेस. अगर हमको सेल्फ ऑब्जेक्ट में एंगेज करेंगे तो हमारे
Actually, why today see we will continue that discussion because this will continue even today and next the sloka also we'll have to discuss the same thing. So don't worry about it. Ultimately. We'll get back to you because from 13 to 18 we'll have to study in one sequence, Prabhu. That's the whole thing. I'll tell you because that is again Gyan Yoga, and again Gyan Yoga is यहाँ पे आत्मा परमात्मा और बॉडी इन सब के बारे में ही है 13 to 18 वापस ज्ञान योग. बट उसके अंदर भी फिर एंड में जाके भगवान ने भक्ति जोड़ा है कि सर्वधर्म. तो I'll just come to you. Don't worry about. So one who restrains the senses of action but whose mind dwells. I'll translate in English. One who restrains the senses of action and whose minds dwell on the sense object certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. So karmendriyāṇi is senses we do the work. Okay. And saṁyamya is regulating. Saṁyamya is regulating the senses. āste manasā smaran, regulating the senses. āste manasā smaran, with the mind. With the mind. āste manasā smaran is with the mind if one is contemplating. Contemplating what? Indriyārthān is sense objects. With the mind, if the person is contemplating on the sense objects which he is restraining, okay, then indriyārthān, then he certainly is deluding himself. He is vimūḍhā and mithyācāraḥ also. So Krishna is calling out that person is a vimūḍhā as well as a pretender, that is mithyācāri. So Arjuna raised the question in 3.1 that what did he raise? Jayasi chet karmanam āste mata buddhir janardana. That you have asked me to, instead of doing work, you have asked me to work, instead of doing karma, it is better to work in buddhi yoga. You yourself have said Krishna. So that's what Krishna, he raised the question. So that opinion which Arjuna is asking in form of question, Krishna is refuting by saying that, if one does not work by action, okay, and instead works by his own mind, contemplating on the action, then he is fooling around himself. So, what Arjuna had asked as 3.1, Krishna is giving an answer in that form that, you have to work rather than think of leaving the work. So Krishna is talking about the inappropriateness of such inaction of Arjuna, and in general messaging everybody, of course, because Bhagavad Gita is for all. So he is talking about this inaction to Arjuna as a inappropriate, and messaging to all of us, because in 3.4 Krishna has already said that alone work would not lead to perfection. Okay. 3.5 he added again and said it is impracticable, and or impossible to do it, to be inactive. And today he is saying that it is inappropriate. If you want to be not working, it is inappropriate. And that inappropriateness is only in Sanskrit we call it as adharmic. Okay. So how can it be adharmic? How can it be inappropriate, or how can it be adharmic? नहीं अच्छा, so मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ कि 3.4 में कृष्णा ने कहा कि inaction will not lead to perfection. 3.65 he said it is impracticable, okay, inaction. And now 3.6 he is calling it inappropriate. Okay, by saying that he is fooling around himself, he is a mithyācāri, so it's inappropriate. So how means inappropriate is only adharmic actually. So how can you say, how can it be adharmic? I'm just putting a question to you. Dharma. Okay, you have come to the from okay. Fine. Okay.
That is a dharma.
Okay.
So whatever dharma we have got, we have to follow.
Fine. Okay.
If we are not doing that, that is other.
Okay.
So those actions we must perform.
Okay.
Whether we wish or not.
I accept that. That point is also correct. That's correct, actually. That's fine. But my
There is continuity between external and internal. I think you see here, jo dikh raha hai. I mean, he gives example.
Yeah, exactly.
So there is
show bottle and all those.
See, this is internal because he's talking about pretenders. See, but
Yeah.
see, you are fooling maybe people.
Yes.
You're fooling yourself.
Yes, that's
You are
what
thinking
exactly.
that-
So what is getting violated here? What is getting violated? Yeah, I know. So that is what Prabhu was actually a bit near. That's what I wanted to say, because here the principle of renunciation, see, because we are talking of inaction, right? The principle of renunciation is being violated. Okay. So why it is being called adharmic or inappropriate? Because the principle of renunciation is being violated. See, by sheer force, one can, or by his own willpower, one can avoid indulgence in any sense gratification. Okay. But the attachment in his mind internally will always make him remember those acts again and again, and he will keep on enjoying those acts at the mental level. So he is anyway working at the mental level. So, and contemplating them, imagining them, or whatever those sense objects which externally by will or sheer force he is tried to avoid it. So you remember the one old song of Mahmood, no? Khayalon mein, hangama. So like, khayalon mein one person is making hangama, but outside is like, he's being shown as if, he's okay, he's very calm and he's very quiet and all those. So, in that way, a person externally adopts a garb of a renunciate, but internally is contemplating on the sense objects. Same, internally is contemplating on the sense objects and engaging. So that violates the principle of renunciation, if not physically, but mentally. So renunciation is not just determined by abrogation of your duties or, abrogation of sense objects externally, but it also includes your internal detachment from the sense objects. Okay. बहुत नहीं चलेगा, ठीक है. That's okay. So that is the principle of renunciation. म्यूजिक का बात करेंगे वो तो कोई भी चलेगा. म्यूजिक की बोला specifically.
Yeah, so include external detachment, but it was a physical that.
But also by internal detachment from sense objects. No, means like means like no, though not physically but mentally.
That includes internal
Okay, okay, I'll just say, see, a person who has externally adopted a garb of a renunciate, but internally contemplates on sense objects, okay, will be engaging always and violating the principles of renunciation.
Your thoughts and action should be matching.
Exactly.
सिंपल वो कहते हैं मन से संन्यास लेना है,
हाँ,
बाहर से संन्यास लेना है।
बाहर से संन्यास दिखावा नहीं करना है,
मन को सन्यासी
मन से सन्यासी
मन को सन्यासी करना है।
हाँ, मन को सन्यासी योग में बराबर है, बिकॉज सन्यासी कोई बनता है तो मनसा वाचा कर्मणा इसीलिए बोलते हैं ना, कभी भी ये तीनों चीजों से होना चाहिए, इसीलिए सन्यासी ये तीनों चीजों से होना चाहिए। खाली मन से भी होगा तो नहीं चलेगा प्रभु।
नहीं, मन से होगा तो चलेगा,
हाँ,
मन तो
नहीं नहीं, आप वाणी से गालियां देते रहोगे तो क्या फायदा होगा।
ऐसे कोई दे नहीं पाएगा ना।
हाँ, एक बात बता रहा हूँ, इसलिए मनसा वाचा कर्मणा कभी भी,
एक एग्जांपल
हाँ,
मैं कैसे गाली दे पॉसिबल
मन से मनसा वाचा कर्मणा, क्योंकि आप
अपने के लिए सही है,
ठीक है,
जनरल बात करो तो जब मन आपका
मन
प्योर है
हाँ,
तो इम्प्योर चीज कहाँ से आएगी?
ठीक है,
नहीं मन हो गया है, दोनों चीजों प्रभु
सही, लेकिन ये
अगर आप बutcher के शॉप में काम करोगे, ओके दैट इज नॉट ओके, इवन इफ इट इज प्रोफेशन।
इवन मैं आपको बताऊं, बड़े बड़े सन्यासी रह चुके हैं जो बुच्चर काम करते थे।
या एग्जैक्टली है ऐसा,
मन का ताल्लुक
नेक्स्ट
वो अल्टीमेटली छोड़ते हैं ना। हाँ, तो वही बोल रहा हूँ।
यही कह रहा हूँ, छूट जाए एकदम।
तो इसीलिए जब सन्यासी की बात आती है तो मनसा वाचा कर्मणा, ये तीनों चीजों से व्यक्ति यदि एक ही इक्विलिब्रियम रख रहा है, देन ही इज ए परफेक्ट सन्यासी। दैट इज व्हाट हम बोलते हैं। करेक्ट है, दैट इज द मेजर पॉइंट। इसीलिए मन को पॉइंट शुद्ध करने का ही मंत्र है, सबसे बड़ी चीज। So one may externally distance himself. Now I'll just say, one may externally distance himself. Okay, I'll not indulge in some sense objects. Okay, okay, that is good, because in the early stages of spiritual life, when you are progressing, that is where exactly मंत्र से ही शुरुआत होती है भाई। पहले सबसे पहले पॉइंट उसी को कंट्रोल करने की बात आती है। And सारे, it is not only in Indian spiritual culture, like all the spiritual cultures across the world, they always have some kind of separation. For example, male and female भी है, they have some kind of separation that males females थोड़ा अलग अलग रहो, some kind of separation.
मैं प्रभुपाद जी के आचार्य एक बंदर का भी एग्जाम्पल देते हैं कि एक बंदर एक पेड़ से दूसरे पेड़ में बहुत जंप मारता, इस पेड़ से जाएगा उस पेड़ में जाएगा, और बोलता मैं तो कपड़े भी नहीं पहनता, मैं वेजिटेरियन भी हूँ, लेकिन जैसे ही वो बंदरियों को देखता है lose his sense.
प्रभु का राइट एग्जाम्पल आता है, एग्जैक्टली। So it's okay.
मरकट बैराग बोलते
Yes, exactly.
जैसे ये केवल रियलाइजेशन के बारे में है,
क्यों? हाँ भी वो,
इन्हीं
क्योंकि
से कोई भी साधक रहता है ना, तो जैसे ठीक है, मन से तो अभी उसके अंदर आया नहीं है,
Yes.
trying to external also,
yes,
internal
that's why I said that is the starting point. हाँ,
लगाने का भी ट्राई कर रहे हैं। We are trying for the fasting also, but fasting में भी मन चलो खाने के लिए भाग रहा है, कुछ भी हो रहा है,
इसीलिए उसका
मतलब हम ट्राई तो कर
ट्राई कर रहे हैं, इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ, दैट इज इंपॉर्टेंट, बिकॉज एटलीस्ट दैट इज द अर्ली स्टेज ऑफ स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ। एटलीस्ट ओके, ट्राई तो कर रहे हो, दैट इज द अर्ली स्टेज ऑफ स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ। तो इसीलिए जो सेपरेशन की बात बोल रहा था, तो
फिर वो मिथ्याचारी कैसे होगा?
आएंगे मिथ्याचारी डिस्कस करेंगे हम, मिथ्याचारी डिस्कस करेंगे, इंपॉर्टेंट तो वही है।
डेली बिल्डिंग कर रहे हो,
Yeah.
बाहर से एक अंदर वो पाप, वो चीटर क्या है?
So, see, what happens, that's what, ये बंदर का example exactly अभी right था, because what happens beyond that, see,
conclusion.
no, why, because I,
कि मुंह में राम बगल में छुरी।
ये तो देसी हो यही प्रभु जी है, मतलब एक धार्मिक उसमें भी चलते हैं और उसमें भी चलते हैं, माया वाले में भी चलते हैं। जिसको जो चाहिए वो लो।
so if one, नहीं, विल कम टू मिथ्याचारी। पहले तो अपना जस्ट वो डिस्कशन ये कर ले कि कर्म इंद्रियों पर आते हैं हम पहले। विल जस्ट कम फर्स्ट ऑन कर्म इंद्रिया एंड देन विल गो फॉर मिथ्याचारी ऑल्सो। सो ओके, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। सो हरे राम 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 हरे। सो व्हाट हैपेंस, बीइंग दैट डिस्टेंस, फिर भी क्या होता है बोलते, बिकॉज ऑफ दैट अटैचमेंट, उसका प्रॉक्सिमिटी इंटरनल जो है उसका प्रॉक्सिमिटी तो रहता ही है, एंड दैट इज हाउ ही इंडल्जेस। सो व्हाट मेंटली, if a person keeps dwelling, contemplating on things, and then that will come out exactly. And if the same thing, that's why we say if you're mentally contemplating on Krishna, then mostly thoughts of Krishna consciousness will come out. So karmendriyaiḥ saṁyamya, pehla word that Krishna is using, karmendriyaiḥ saṁyamya. So karmendriyas are working senses. Karma means working senses. What are those? Sometimes वो भी भूल जाते हैं. हाथ, पैर, टंग नहीं, वाणी, speech, okay? वाणी, because ना वो ज्ञान इंद्रिय वो आंख में दो जेनाइटल्स, ओके, जिससे कार्य होते हैं ना, तो दो जेनाइटल्स और हाथ, पैर एंड speech, these are the karmendriyas, okay? And these karmendriyas work for fulfilling the necessities of the bodies, which authorizes protection to the body. And whatever the gyan indriyas, that is the knowledge acquiring senses, wants to do, these karmendriyas help them to happen. So knowledge acquiring senses are what? Eyes, ears, eyes, nose, tongue and skin. So all these five senses through which they want to, gyan, because they have the gyan. Ye smell achhi aa rahi hai, so that's a gyan. So those gyan indriyas, in order to work, they take the help of the karmendriyas to get that work done, and that is how the body goes ahead. So even if a person wants to renounce, sannyas ki baat kar rahe, even if a person wants to renounce tyag, some kind of activity, then the gyan indriyas orders the karmendriyas to act accordingly. And if they do not do, if they do it other way around, it becomes a problem. For example, Arjuna had gone to Swarga, and Urvashi met Arjuna. And what did she want? Sangha of Arjuna. And what was that Sangha could happen through what? Touch sense, right? The touch working sense, right? Urvashi wanted touch of Arjuna. Okay. Arjuna now wanted to avoid. So what did he use? The same karmendriya. So he used his speech in order to avoid the touch, and he called her Mata. Okay. So even if you have to renounce anything, these five karmendriyas only have to work for you. For all the gyanindriyas to, fulfill or to not fulfill. So if you have to not to be fulfilled, again you have to use this karmendriya only and get the work done. And it has to be, and this works accordingly. That is what you have to understand. So karmendriyaiḥ saṁyamya. So this karmendriya, Krishna is telling, you have to control. Till now he was taking indriya which included karma and jnana both till now. Today he is specifically telling karmendriyaiḥ saṁyamya. āste manasā smaran. āste manasā smaran means one whose mind is contemplating on this objects. So first, karmendriyaiḥ saṁyamya means one who has to control the actions of the gyan indriya by ordering the karmendriya to restrain that action. And now at the level of the mind, he is engaged in enjoying the same restrained action. What happened कि मैं तो छोड़ दिया हूं बोलने के लिए, लेकिन मन में तो सोच ही रहा हूं. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल कोई बोलता है कि मैं चिकन बिरयानी खाना छोड़ दिया हूं, और मन में जो है सो टंगड़ियों को तोड़ रहा है, तो फिर क्या बोलेंगे? It's a wide sometimes कई बार ऐसा होता है, ऐसे नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि तो होता है. This is what, so because mind is also the sixth sense, you have to understand, right? Mind is also, because that is already said 10.22, we have many times opened it, indriyāṇam manaschasmi. So 10.22 Krishna says that among the indriyas I am the mind. Krishna says if you connect all the five indriyas, then among the indriyas, all the six indriyas, I am the indriya, that is mind, which is the highest actually, because Krishna is highest. He is asking you among your senses, I am the man. So if you control your mind, then all your other senses, because your mind has to be directed, the senses, not the senses directing towards the mind. So, and also this mama ivancho jiva loki 15.7 also, no? Mama shashtani indriyāṇi prakrutisthaनि karshati. That, Krishna is saying, you are struggling in this world because of your six senses. You are part and parcel of my thing. You have to come back to me. So in that way, you have to understand the mind is also the sixth sense. So five senses we are restraining, but that restraint we are carrying out with the mind, then that is where that will lead to your downfall. That is what āste manasā smaran. So, we have to understand this āste manasā smaran in two flip aspects. What is that? We employ the mind to concentrate on enjoyment. Bhog ke liye. We employ the mind to concentrate on enjoyment while restraining the senses when the mind wants to engage in Krishna. Okay. When the mind wants to engage in Krishna, we are engaging the mind in the sense enjoyment, which the jnanendriya, which the other karmendriyas have, does not want to do. Outside is not showing it. And second is, we want the mind to be contemplating on Krishna service, but the mind being chanchala, it slips towards enjoyment. Okay? Dono ka flip hai. Okay? So that's why Srila Prabhupada is writing that we find many such hypocrites who pretend to be Krishna conscious. Outside dhoti pehen lenge, tilak laga lenge, ye kar lenge, and change outside, means outfit they'll change external outside, but contemplate on the worldly affairs or whatever want to affairs in their mind. There are many. Srila Prabhupada himself has said, because he's seen the, हमारे जैसे भी आज आपको धोती पहन के मिलेंगे और कल किसी गलत जगह मिलेंगे, तो फिर that is where exactly pretender, mithyācāraḥ and all those will come out. So what happens, if you, for senses, all the six senses, like, how do you feel happy and distress? If the senses are satisfied, you feel happy, and if they are not satisfied, you feel distress, right? Similarly, the mind also feels happier with the respects, with the hospitality, and with the welcomings. Okay? And it gets distressed with the disrespects and criticism. So, as the senses are happy, जीभ को कुछ खाने को मिल गया बहुत अच्छा, तो बहुत आनंद, और वो नहीं मिला तो थोड़ा दुख होता. वैसे ही माइंड को भी यही चीजों से दुख या सुखी मिलता है. So, Krishna is using two words to describe such a person. And what are those two words? vimūḍhātmā and mithyācāri. So, ucyate means ऐसा कहा जाता है. इनको विमूढ़ा और मिथ्याचारी कहा जाता है. So, विमूढ़ा means what? अच्छा, मूढ़ा means what? Muda means Bevkuf, right? Yes, correct. Exactly. Muda is Bevkuf, because going forward, there's one shloka also, no? 7.15. Namam dushkrutino mudha. Hai? Okay, 7. I will come to that. Okay, no problem. So one who is, I'll tell you to open. You open and keep anyway. So V muda is Vishesh Rup se muda. Special muda we call it as, right? So one who is foolish, okay, and one who is specially foolish. So height of foolishness we call it as, in other words, height of foolishness. So one is, he is doing dhyana, but engaging his mind on movie Dhurandhar. So one who cricket छोड़ के धुरंधर पे आगे बोलेंगे. So one who is pretending to be dhyana, but he is and contemplating on the senses, that, enjoyment of senses. So he is fooling himself. He is imagining that, I am satisfied as I am renounced the world and, I am advanced, but he is fooling himself because he has attachment within, which is not allowing him to practice the purpose of renunciation. The purpose of renunciation, which we said, is to be fulfilled, right? And what's the purpose of renunciation for a yogi? Or any yogi, we call karma-yogi, dhyana yogi. We'll come to that. Yoga, I'll circulate now. Next week, we'll discuss that. So, what is the purpose of the renunciation for a yogi? Okay. Undistracted concentration, because we are talking about the mind, no? Control on mind, because if he does not control, bodily is restrained, but mind, if he doesn't restrain, he is a mithyācāri. So undistracted concentration of the Supreme, Krishna. So because कर्म करने वाले को कर्म योगी कहा जाता है, भक्ति करने भक्त योगी कहा जाता है, तो सुप्रीम या कृष्णा जो भी आप समझो. So ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है समझना. So when we are engaged in like in our family life, when we are engaged in our family life, we have to do job, we have a family, जैसे हम we take up grasta order, we have a family, we do jobs, we do obligations, we have social groups, etc. anything. So टाइम नहीं मिलता है अभी क्या करने के लिए, भक्ति करने के लिए टाइम नहीं मिलता है. कई बार बोलते हैं माला करने के लिए टाइम नहीं मिलता है, क्यों बोलते हैं इतनी सब चीजें हैं. ऑल दिस बिकम्स डिस्ट्रैक्शंस टू मी. सो इसके लिए ये करने को हमें टाइम नहीं मिलता है, ऐसा बोलते हैं, है ना. बिकॉज फैमिली, सोशल लाइफ, ऑल दिस कुड बिकम ए डिस्ट्रैक्शन. यस, दे कुड बिकम ए डिस्ट्रैक्शन. दैट इज द रीजन व्हाई यू से यू हैव टू स्पिरिचुअलाइज देम ऑल्सो. इसलिए पहले तो विवाह होता है तो संस्कार के थ्रू होता है. वी हैव टू स्पिरिचुअलाइज दैट, एंड देन इट इज नॉट जस्ट फॉर whimsically you are doing marrying. So you have to do it through the sanskar, and that is where that is marriage for your life. It is not for some days and you give it divorce and all those. So it's not that आपके मन को पसंद आया and मन को बाद में पसंद नहीं आया, अभी अच्छा लगी बाद में अच्छा नहीं लगी. That's a reason why you have to spiritualize them also. Okay, and to the extent possible. Otherwise, if you don't spiritualize them, then I mean, it's like, I don't say about sanskara alone. You think of all other angles, because, when we come out to be saying about family life, that is where exactly I said, you have to spiritualize them as well. If husband, wife, sabhi hai, sabhi log एक ही कार्य करेंगे, तो then, at least, भाई भक्ति में. That's the reason why ISKCON में आजकल nowadays, when we go for initiation, they first, कोई खाली प्रभु आता है, खाली माता जी आती है. That is the first question they ask. Before, is your family accepting this? That you become a Krishna conscious person and he is not. Are you okay? Because there could be distractions. That's the reason ideal is family together. But hota hai ki kabhi kabhi, not necessarily, both jivas come from different background. Okay, you have been married and because of sanskara you are staying together. But maybe the other person may not be Krishna conscious. So how will you cope up? Because this Krishna consciousness should not lead to disturbance in your married life. That is the first thing which every counselor before to the guru describes to you. Okay, because there could be a distraction to you. So why? Because you keep on dwelling on your mind of the sense enjoyment satisfaction, which would ultimately fall out. It will come out and it will fall out, and you would be fooling around yourself. That is where vimūḍhātmā. That is, the person will keep dwelling on the senses, and instead of spiritual truths, he will deluding himself. Because if you just wanted to for thinking that this, you are doing a marriage just for your own enjoyment, then you are fooling around yourself. It is not only for that part, because we'll come to that, like next shloka we'll take up, this Prabhu was saying, like, we have this 4 ashrams. These 4 ashram comprehend each other. Yeah.
In the whole journey of Bhagavad Gita, we talk about the control of mind. Okay. So someone who is able to manage to control or fix his mind in a Krishna conscious activity is called good doer, and the other is bad doer. So why we cannot say that mind is actually doer? Because he is performing. Because we are deciding good doer and bad doer on the basis of mind.
Deciding, you said yourself, deciding based on the mind, then that is the problem. Because it was said to be done as per buddhi. Because mind is chanchala and buddhi is achala.
No, but like in previous,
buddhi will come through jnana yoga.
If we look at the combination of senses and mind, like in previous look, we also read like senses are so impatient and strong that can forcefully carry away mind.
Mind, yeah.
It means the disturbance of mind
is there.
Everything. So
yeah.
why mind cannot be a doer?
No, that is where if you are doing with the mind, then you will be stuck in this maya only. Then
we have to fix the mind. We have to control the mind.
Yeah, that is the first point. Yeah, that is the first point.
We cannot control the mind, Prabhu.
That is the first point.
It's impossible.
इसीलिए उसको चंचल बोला गया. You have to means क्या निश्चला बोला गया. You can control the mind, making it निश्चला. You cannot make it achala. मन तो माइंड एक ही है ना माता जी. मन माइंड एक ही है. बुद्धि का बात होता है. बुद्धि आपकी फिक्स रहनी चाहिए. बुद्धि इज अचला. इंटेलिजेंस. हाँ, बुद्धि विवेक. So That is where exactly the mind should dictate the senses rather senses dictating the mind. Senses are very problematic, but mind is at a higher level. That is where Krishna is saying mind is at a higher level. Your higher level should control the lower level. वो एक वन ऑफ द बॉडी का ऑर्गन है माता जी. ओके ना वो वहां पे सारी चीजें काम करती है, जैसे वो हार्डवेयर बोलते हैं ना, मेन वो जो सॉफ्टवेयर जो बोलते हैं ना वैसा. So now coming to mithyācāraḥ, that is vimūḍhātmā. Okay, now mithyācāri.
We have
Threefold mysteries. What eightfold?
well, like lust, anger, and like we
Eight stages. 8 stages of fall down.
eight stages.
So manasā smaran.
Last we read the loss of memory is called loss of intelligence.
Yes.
The loss of memory means senses are lost. So
No.
again,
Memory is lost to that extent, selective. That is where also we discussed कि मुझे यहाँ पे यही दिख रहा है, बस खत्म. Selectively we forget the other part of it. क्योंकि हमें ये अच्छा लग रहा है, इतना ही याद रखना है, ऐसा टाइप. Okay, we'll come to mithyācāraḥ. What is mithyācāri? Pretender. So in हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं? झूठ मूठ का आचरण करने वाला, है ना? झूठ मूठ का आचरण करने वाला is a mithyācāri. So very strong word. It's not an ordinary word. You call anybody pretender, they'll start fighting. It's a false behavior. It's not a behavior which is normal. It's a false behavior. So a person is pretending, is cheating himself as well as others. Mithyācāri is at least fooling, the vimūḍhātmā at least is fooling himself. But a mithyācāri is not even fooling himself, but he is fooling others also. Pretender. Cheating himself and thinking that he is advanced, but he is not advanced. He is cheating others also, because others will offer him respectful obeisances. No, he is a person who is, doing good आचरण, जबकि वो झूठ मूठ का आचरण कर रहा है. नेता करते हैं. Exactly. So thinking that he is a renunciate, very good renunciate, people will respect him, whereas he is fooling them also. So what is the difference between vimūḍhā and mithyācāri? In vimūḍhā, controlling senses, one is sitting in, say dhyana or japa, okay, but unable to control his mind because mind is wandering everywhere. So he is fooling himself कि भाई मैं जप कर रहा हूँ, जबकि माइंड तो सारा जो है सो माइंड में जो है सो शेर का ही चल रहा है, बाहर से दिखा हुआ है चल रहा है जप का, लेकिन माइंड में शेर का ये वो कुछ भी चल रहा है. So he is vimūḍhātmā there. But mithyācāri is one who is pretending to do the japa, okay? To just get the good brownie points, and others will think, oh, he is doing a very good japa, he is a very good person, okay? And he is engaging his mind in his bhoga, So सामने वाले को ही धोखा दे रहा है, सामने वाला सोचता है बहुत बड़ा जप करने वाला, जबकि माइंड तो उसका भोगों में लगा हुआ है. So it's a slight difference, but both the words is used. For the same example, we took Brahmin and prostitute का कितनी बार, right?
intention.
Yeah, exactly. One for fooling for himself, that is, and one by showing outfit also, he is doing it too. He is pretending to, जैसे क्या होता है कि मैं जैसे कपड़े पहन के बैठ गया और जप कर रहा हूँ, आप बिना कपड़े मीन्स लाइक नॉर्मल कपड़े पहन के आप जप कर रहे हो, है ना? तो मैं अगर मन में कुछ और सोच रहा हूँ, आप भी कुछ और सोच रहे हो, यू आर फूलिंग योर सेल्फ, बट आई एम फूलिंग माई सेल्फ एज वेल एज यू. सो आई बिकम ए मिथ्याचारी रादर देन vimūḍhātmā.
Other than that example, ये तो very easy आसान example है.
इसके
अलावा कोई example देखें? ये बड़ा easy है कि संत महात्मा के बारे में जानना.
नहीं संत महात्मा को हम बोल ही नहीं रहे.
संत महात्मा नहीं, संत महात्मा. Other than कोई example हम अपनी लाइफ में देखें.
वो ब्राह्मण और प्रोस्टिट्यूट का एग्जांपल अपने कितने बार लिया ना?
ब्राह्मण आ गया ना.
हाँ ठीक. अरे नहीं तो
डेली लाइफ
नहीं
ऑफिस की बात कर ली, घर की बात कर ली, रोड पे बात कर ली.
चलो ठीक है. डेली लाइफ में
डेली लाइफ जैसे कि आपने रात को 1.5 किलो चिकन खा लिया और सुबह घर में जो कुत्ता पाल रखा है उसको 1.5 किलो चिकन सर्व कर दिया, एंड यू आर थिंकिंग कि आप मतलब योर कॉन्शियसनेस इज प्योर एंड यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट पीस एंड लव.
एनिमल लव की बात करते हैं. मानव एनिमल जो पशुओं की सेवा करते हैं, मीन्स लाइक खुद तो अपने प्लेट पे खा लेते हैं और बाद में कुत्तों को बचाने के लिए निकल जाते हैं. लेकिन देयर आर मेनी डॉग सेविंग एसोसिएशंस इन लाइफ.
रात को नॉनवेज खा लिया तो मॉर्निंग में गाय को चारा देने पड़ता है.
हाँ एग्जैक्टली, वैसा भी चलेगा. वही that's what we have people who themselves eat nice non-veg and they go and protect, as if, killing of this dogs is problematic. Okay, the dog is having rabies, Baba. Sometimes it is there, like, but killing a dog is unlawful. There is that, and but they happily eat dogs. Of course, our community, but Far East there are dog eaters and there are dog lovers also. Like, so it comes out. You come out to be an example that, but it's okay.
इंडिया में बहुत चलता है कि जैसे आपने सोमवार को बहुत चिकन खाया और मंगलवार को आपने रिंगटोन लगाई या मंगल भवन में मंगल हारी। तो
Okay, ये प्रभु का एग्जांपल राइट एग्जैक्टली।
मैं एक दिन ये दिखा रहा हूँ, एक दिन ये दिखा रहा हूँ। हाँ,
It's okay now. There are many things. Okay, so one has to be. It is all exactly your mind thing. So what dwells in mind cannot stay for long. So 2.62 to 63 आपने जो पढ़ा था ना कि 8 stages of fall down. ध्यायतो विषयान पुंसान से लगा के प्रणश्यति तक जो 8 stages of fall down थे. That same thing is just coming up in this one word called manasā smaran.
प्रभु जी, मैंने इसमें शायद आपसे एक बार पहले भी रिक्वेस्ट किया था, कलयुग में मन के द्वारा किए गए कर्मों पे कुछ छूट नहीं मिलनी चाहिए कि मन से तो कर्म, जैसे कुछ आई डोंट नो कहाँ ऐसा बोलते हैं किस संप्रदाय में, लेकिन कुछ लोग बोलते हैं कि मन से जो कर्म किए जाते हैं उन पर पनिशमेंट नहीं मिलता कलयुग में।
इधर मिलता है
वो तो आपको नहीं पता चलेगा प्रभु, आपको नहीं पता चलेगा, आपको नहीं पता चलेगा प्रभु। आई कैन ब्रिंग यू ऑन द श्लोकास। हाँ, श्लोकास आई कैन गिव यू। द क्वेश्चन कम्स आउट इज एट माइंड। क्यों वो ब्राह्मण और वैश्य का एग्जाम्पल क्यों दिया जाता है? वो माइंड पे तो सब गेम था कि एक वेश्या ब्राह्मण के बारे में सोच रही है, वो इतना अच्छा कार्य कर रहा है, खुद अपने उसके वजह से शी इज इन्वॉल्व इन व्यभिचार, बट द ब्राह्मण हु इज डूइंग गुड सदाचार बट ऑलवेज थिंकिंग ये वेश्या सारा दिन ये व्यभिचार में लगी है, एंड व्हेन दे डाई इट्स एग्जैक्टली द रिवर्स।
बट लेकिन रियलिटी में उसने वो एक्शन किया नहीं प्रभु।
तो एग्जैक्टली माइंड पे एक्शन करना इज ऑल्सो रिनंसिएशन के प्रिंसिपल्स को धोखा देना है, ऐसा बोलते हैं। और ये हम सबसे होता है। वी आर नॉट टेलिंग वी आर 100% सदाचारीज, वी आर ऑल्सो समवेयर प्रिटेंडर्स, वी आर ऑल्सो समवेयर क्या बोलते हैं विमूढ़ास। बट द क्वेश्चन इज हाउ कैन यू गेट आउट ऑफ इट? यू कैच होल्ड ऑफ दैट माइंड एंड अगेन पुट हिम ऑन दैट वर्क। सो इफ अ पर्सन इज एबल टू डू दैट, भाई मालूम है मेरा माइंड इधर उधर भाग रहा है, उसको तभी वहां पे रोक के वापस सामने रखना है, तो होगा कैसे? इसीलिए कभी कभी एसोसिएशन की बात होती है, क्योंकि आप जब रहोगे तो चेक पे होगा, अदरवाइज तो आप अकेले में क्या करते हो? कुछ भी करते हो। Now we'll come to, okay, this is something. Now we'll come to some kind of, now अभी आपने बोला whole Gita we are talking about mind. So now the whole Gita is based on renunciation, right? Whole Gita is based on sarva dharman parityajya also. Like, you leave everything and come to surrender. So whole Gita is based on renunciation. Does that mean that Krishna is opposing renunciation in this shloka?
मिथ्याचारी, but
I know.
opposing renunciation नहीं कर रहे, वो मिथ्याचारी का opposing।
I know exactly. No, कृष्णा उसको जवाब दे रहे कि भी ऐसा तू काम नहीं करना चाहेगा और मन में सोचेगा मैं युद्ध कर रहा हूं, तो भी तू प्रिटेंडर कहलाएगा ना। ऐसा ही कृष्णा यही कर रहे हैं। हाँ, मिथ्याचारी कर रहे हैं। सो is Krishna opposing renunciation? Answer is no. He is not opposing renunciation. It is contextual. He is giving answer to Arjuna. That's why I said, Arjuna asked that first line question, and Krishna's opinion, like, Krishna is giving that. So is Krishna is giving this answer to Arjuna on contextual basis that, you have to work, you cannot be, so, you have to work. So in today's world, you'll find, one wants to be a renunciate. So can I say that, no, Arjuna did not renunciate, Baba, Arjuna was not qualified to renunciate. I am qualified to renunciate. Can we say that? Are we better than Arjuna? Arjuna was a very great warrior and he was a different. Okay, Narnara, and we don't go to that level also. But Arjuna was not a normal person. So when Krishna is suggesting Arjuna that, don't think of renunciation, you have to act, because clearly he'll say act. In next two slokas, he'll say you have to act only. And he indirectly is saying act only here, that, don't think means you have to act. That's where. So do you think that you are qualified more and you can do renunciation? Has Krishna said blanketly no to you? No. Because even during the Gita, there were renunciates like, Bhishma Pitama, there were renunciates like Narad Muni, there were renunciates like, many rishis which used to come and all those. So Krishna is not telling no for renunciation because renunciation is part of your life. But right now he is contextually telling no to Arjuna. So he is not given a blanket no to renunciation in the entire. But the tenor of Gita is that, renunciation. It is based on renunciation. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, exactly. Do not do the fake renunciation. For a Kshatriya, renounced order is difficult, right? They cannot fake renunciation. They had to change. Like we had Vishwamitra. He was a Kshatriya and he had to become a Brahmana, and for that he had to face how many years of tapasya and all that, right? It's a lot of process. So Kshatriya for a renounced order is difficult. It's not impossible. It is difficult. But for a Brahminical temperament guy, so for becoming a Kshatriya to a Brahminical temperament guy, it takes a lot of time. कितनी बार ना हमने रामायण पढ़ी रहे, हमको कितना प्रॉब्लम आया था विश्वामित्र को ही पता है ना। 1000 साल तक तपस्या यहाँ की, फिर 1000 पहले सेंट्रल साइड में की, फिर नॉर्थ साइड में जाके, फिर ऐसा अलग अलग जाके उन्होंने तपस्या की, फिर काम क्रोध सबको जीता. सो इट बिकम्स for a kshatriya it's difficult, and that's what Arjuna wanted to go and become a renunciate. So Krishna is telling right now you have to do the yuddha. But for a Brahminical temperament guy, who wants to serve Krishna or who wants to serve the supreme truth, for him that adaptation of renounced order for life is a bit easier compared to the other varna. So Gita does not say blanket no. Okay, if you want to become a renunciate, Gita does not command you no. If you have to become a renunciate, you have to do this and go. That's it. It does not command you that way. It does not say no to you. Okay. So it's simply, it just, you have to understand that, it is Gita, it is not a book only for Tyaga and Vairagya. Okay. It is not a book only for Tyaga and Vairagya, because कई बार गीता में त्याग और वैराग्य लिखा है, यही सोचते हैं, है ना? It is not only a book for Tyaga and Vairagya, but it is also a book of Dharma. That is where Dharma, and not even Dharma, it is Paradharma. Paradharma, why? Because Supreme. Because जब आत्मा परमात्मा की बात आती है तो परमात्मा Supreme से connected. So it is Paradharma, which we call it as Bhakti, of course, So whatever is favorable to Bhakti, Bhagavad Gita will never say no to that. What is favorable to Bhakti, Bhagavad Gita will never say no to that. So what Krishna is telling no right now for a pretenders, right? For a pretenders, okay? And what pretenders means, what is the crux behind that? See, if it was not related, if Bhagavad Gita was not related to Paradharma, then why would have Krishna going at the end would say Sarva Dharman Parityaja, or why in 2.61 he would say, look me as the object of senses. Now, after the entire Gyan Yoga, he ends up with Sarva Dharman Parityaja, Maam Ekam Sharanam Raja. You just surrender all the types of dharma and just surrender to me, too many things, and I will take care of all your sense and you don't have to worry. So in this way, just, or adopt the course of action that you can come to surrender to me. So that is where exactly Bhagavad Gita never says no. So you also in your life can apply the same principle rather than thinking one way or no way, or black and white. I will become a renunciate or I will not become a renunciate. Right? Okay. So one way or no means जिसको बोलते हैं black white, one way or no way. उनके बजाय it is good rather we focus on what is favorable for me or suitable to me based on the criteria, and one can decide. If I am a Brahminical temperament guy, I can go for renunciation. I can go for renunciation from actions. Okay. But if I am a Grahastha right now, so Grahastha's duties are there, Grahastha's duties are there. So you have to do the duties also. And that is where Krishna is bringing that within that also you try to be a renunciate. Don't expect things. That's what karma-yogam. This will all prevail, where it will come out, exactly that, be in any grahastha. Like, you can decide. I can become a sannyas from a brahmachari only. Okay. Example was Guru Maharaj. So you don't have to do those middle works. You can decide because your temperament of becoming a sannyasa, because your willpower is strong, this thing for renunciation is strong, you can become a this thing. But when you have come to brahmacharya to grahastha and you want to relinquish grahastha activities and take sannyasa, that is where it is called premature renunciation. Don't do that because your actions you may do outwardly, but your mental actions will still be distracted and attached to particular things which will be difficult for you. You will end up in trouble. So that is where exactly you can choose. So if I have chosen a grahastha life, let me concentrate on grahastha life. Renunciation will come, but how it will come, I'll explain. That also I'll explain, okay? But right now, because, as a grahastha, you have to work for the family, you have to, earn for the family, you have to do everything for the family, okay?
Different.
Oh, okay.
Exceptions are there, lot of people there. See, what I understand, in the end of the day, you have to renounce.
Yeah, of course.
This is what I'm
It
saying.
is, of course. That is where, if you don't renounce, then it is no question only. That is where exactly how that renunciation would come.
Lot of ways are there. कोई कहते हैं कि संन्यास सिर्फ 1 मिनट की बात है, जस्ट 1 मिनट की बात, ये नहीं होता कि अब ये करूंगा तब जाके संन्यास आएगा.
चलो नेक्स्ट श्लोक में हम डिस्कस करेंगे, नेक्स्ट श्लोक में डिस्कस करेंगे 1 मिनट के, क्योंकि उसके अंदर कोई उपनिषद की बात आती है ना, तो उसके लिए आप उसमें से बोल रहे हो कि 1 सेकंड की बात है. ओके,
बहुत केसेस हैं. आप देखिए ना, अब वो उसमें रामायण लिखी थी,
वाल्मीकि रामायण, ठीक है,
जस्ट 1 मिनट में आया, कोई तैयारी नहीं की थी. इसके अलावा एक और भी थे, वो एक वाल्मीकि थे, दूसरे कौन थे, उन्होंने उनको अपनी पत्नी के साथ मिलने गए थे और उसकी पत्नी ने
तुलसीदास,
उसका भी जस्ट 1 मिनट,
वो भी वही थे, वाल्मीकि थे वो भी पूर्व जन्म में.
अभी तो उस पर नहीं जानते हैं. इसके बाद आपके पास आते हैं बुद्धा इज द बेस्ट एग्जांपल, लॉट्स ऑफ एग्जांपल. ये हम लोग, यही मैं समझा रहा हूँ कि कुछ लोगों को डिपेंड करता है. आप जैसे आपने एग्जांपल दिया कि मन का असल चीज, मन आपका भाव क्या है, भाव इज इम्पोर्टेंट. इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट प्रोसीजर है कि ये करोगे नहीं, पहले आपको ब्रह्मचारी बनना है, फिर गृहस्थ बनना है.
ना, once you decide, I said no, once you decide,
ओन कर रहा हूँ, ओन कर रहा हूँ, एक्चुअली चीज आपका ओन.
विठ्ठल पंत बोलले, ज्ञानेश्वर महाराज के फादर है ना, सन्यासी, he already accepted, he left the family, he was his only wife, he left the wife at the very end.
तो चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने छोड़ा ही था ना प्रभु, he also gave the example ना. Yeah, then he had to go back.
Or Maharashtrian culture,
Yeah.
ज्ञानेश्वर महाराज just like that.
I know.
So for his guru's order,
He had to come back. Yes.
Follow the guru's
वो इसीलिए बोलते हैं, whatever Krishna says, you have to blindly follow it. That is where exactly it comes out.
And he got four
So Guru Krishna Prasada Pai Bhakti Lata Vish. So automatically Guru has said you kill that person, kill. It's not violence. Yeah, I know, it's okay. No, that is not your vichar. That's what I'm telling you. If it is ordered by the higher person, it will never be. If it is ordered by the higher authority, it can never be. Even if you have chosen.
के लिए भी रेडी होना चाहिए.
Yeah, exactly.
यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम आती है, आपके गुरु ने कहा मार दो, मार दिया, उसके बाद अगर जेल जाना पड़ा,
हाँ, जाना पड़ा
तो
yes.
यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम आते हैं लोगों को. मार तो देते हैं, उस पर इल्जाम लगाते, मेरे गुरु ने कहा था, लेकिन बाद में पनिशमेंट पे क्यों नहीं बोलते कि
खैर गुरु को इसे मारने को नहीं बोलेगा. एग्जांपल मैं बता रहा हूँ. यहाँ पे कृष्णा इज टेलिंग, दैट इज कृष्णा इज टेलिंग अर्जुन किल.
यहाँ पे लोग आगे की बात नहीं
या एग्जैक्टली,
पीछे तो सुन लिया गुरु ने कहा, आगे क्या होना वो भी तो बर्दाश्त बहुत से हैं.
Okay, so this slok is this much only. We'll come to next shloka. Okay, that's also small. So here, what was the focus was, like previously 3 reasons was given that, action alone will not lead to perfection. Inaction is impossible. Okay, and or unnatural we will call it as. And third one was we discussed today. It is adharmic. Okay, it does not means because, and if one does not have proper detachment, then we'll again come back. So our focus should be how best I can attach myself to Krishna, or how best I can be Krishna centric and take decisions based on that, keeping in the mind about renunciation. Keeping in the mind about renunciation. Okay. Keeping in the mind about renunciation, and consider that attainment of external renunciation, keeping that in mind that, based on that renunciation, मैं दिमाग में renunciation रखा हूं और उसके बाद में आप external renunciation करते हो, then that is perfect. Okay. That's a reason Prabhupada has quoted one lecture in English like a show bottle spiritualist. हिंदी में भी आपने word पढ़ा था वो कि दिखावटी लोगों को show bottle spiritualist. That that does not mean they have no value. What is that value? Show bottle spiritualist. They have no value. So what is that value? The value is their mind only, which is impure. Impure mind is no value. Or pure mind is valuable. It can direct senses accordingly. Impure mind is instruction. So that's where Prabhupada has written that about show bottle spiritualist. So no, his mind is impure, and so his knowledge has no value because whatever effects of such sinful man is there, that knowledge what बोलते हैं ना बुद्धि हर ली जाती है. अब वो जो knowledge उसके पास है वो भी जो है सो illusionary energy, that is where माया है ना, माया द्वारा हर ली जाती है, and that is where exactly his mind is all impure. उसकी बुद्धि हर ली गई है और he is indulging in those cheating. So such people are greatest cheaters. So in that Prabhupada has retorted that there are some philosophers who dry philosophers. He didn't say serious philosophers. There are dry philosophers जो कुछ भी like बोल देते हैं, बोलते हैं चलो ठीक है, there are like mithyācāraḥ. While you have become my disciple, I have taken you, and you give me 1 lakh. Many things are there which happens. So हाँ चमत्कारी और सब ठीक है, तो उन सब में पढ़ते हो तो वो सब बेकार है. That is the reason Prabhupada was saying it has to be a true sense. The mithya means if you have to renunciate, it has to be true sense, body as well as mind level. So not external, but it also internal. That is where exactly 3.7 will come. Yastvindriyāṇi manasā. Yastvindriyāṇi manasā. niyamyārabhate arjuna. Karmendriyaiḥ karma-yogam. asaktaḥ sa viśiṣyate. कोई भी एक पढ़ लीजिए.
यस्त्विन्द्रियाणि मनसा
यस्त्विन्द्रियाणि मनसा niyamyārabhate rjuna. Karmendriyaiḥ karma-yogam. asaktaḥ sa viśiṣyate. Word to word लेना है. यह जो तू लेकिन इंद्रियाणी इंद्रियों को मनसा मन के द्वारा नियम्य वश में करके आरभते प्रारंभ करता है. अर्जुन हे अर्जुन कर्मेंद्रियों से कर्मयोगम भक्ति असक्त अनासक्त स व विशिष्यते श्रेष्ठ है. दूसरी ओर यदि कोई निष्ठावान व्यक्ति अपने मन के द्वारा कर्मेंद्रियों को वश में करने का प्रयत्न करता है और बिना किसी आसक्ति के कर्मयोग कृष्ण भावनामृत में प्रारंभ करता है तो वह अति उत्कृष्ट है. यस प्रभु.
Instead of becoming
Yeah.
pseudo transcendentalists, for the sake of wanton living and sense enjoyment, it is far better to remain in one's own business and execute the purpose of life, which is to get free from material bondage and enter into the kingdom of God. The prime Swartha Gati or goal of self-interest is to reach Vishnu. The whole institution of Varna and Ashrama is designed to help us reach this goal of life. A householder can also reach this destination by regulated service in Krishna consciousness. For self-realization, one can live a controlled life as prescribed in the Shastras and continue carrying out his business without attachment, and in that way make progress. A sincere person who follows this method is far better situated than the false pretender who adopts show bottle spiritualism to cheat the innocent public. A sincere sweeper in the street is far better than the charlatan mediator who meditates
Mediator.
for the sake of making
Hare Krishna. So, like, it is continuation with your previous sloka, like till now we were speaking of one I mean, in English, I mean, like, if I say in one word, like, it is regulation is more conducive than renunciation. So Krishna is coming to the point to say, Arjuna, that, for you, karma yoga is better. Okay, that means he does not say no to. So, but he's coming to that point for you that karma yoga is better for you. So regulation is more conducive than renunciation. So Krishna is telling Arjuna to practice karma yoga because he is comparing a person who has false renunciate, whom Krishna mentioned in the previous shloka, with a regulated householder. With a regulated householder in this shloka. So a sincere, dutiful householder is far much better than an attached mithyācāri pretender, sannyasi, or whatever you call it as. That is what Krishna is comparing now, these two. So he's saying, yes, indriyāṇi manasā, one who, yes, tu indriyāṇi, one who controls his senses with the mind. Okay, one who controls his senses with the mind. Niyamyārabhate Arjuna. Niyama means following the regulations, O Arjuna. Karmendriya karma-yogam. So regulating what? Karmendriyas. With your jnana indriyas, you regulate, means, you direct karmendriya. So with your mind, you have to direct the karmendriyas, okay, into karma-yogam. Into karma yoga, doing karma yoga, means doing karma with the indriyas, okay? Asakta. Asakta sa viśiṣyate. Asakta means without attachment. So now be careful. There is asakta, when you call double A, asakta is attachment. And asakta is detachment. कई बार कंफ्यूज रहता है asakti asakti. Okay, so asakti is attachment, and here Krishna is talking about asakta, that is detachment. संस्कृत एक मात्रा के अंदर बहुत बड़ा फर्क पड़ जाता है कभी कभी बोलते हैं ना, अर्थ का अनर्थ हो जाता है. तो अभी तक सब डिटैचमेंट बात कर रहे थे, कभी लोग इसको आसक्ति पढ़ लेते हैं तो गड़बड़ होता है, अटैचमेंट का बात है, यहाँ इसका डिटैचमेंट कैसे बोल रहे हैं. तो दैट्स होल थिंग. सो यू हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुल. संस्कृत इज दिस वेरी पेक्यूलियर समटाइम्स. सो हाँ, तो उसका पहले क्या, उक्त निरुक्त, निरुक्ति. हाँ, फ्री होना ना, फ्री होना उसको बोलते हैं. हाँ, इंद्रियां जिसको हम फ्री कर सकते हैं, नॉट नेसेसरी, मीन्स लाइक इंद्रियां. असक्त इज डिटैचमेंट. या मीन्स आसक्ति, मुझे इस चीज से आसक्ति, मुझे इस चीज से बहुत अटैचमेंट है, मुझे डिटैचमेंट है, वैसा. दैट इज वेर एग्जैक्टली होल पर्पज इज दैट्स व्हाट. बिकॉज ये आसक्ति भी छूटेगी नहीं, इसको भी डाउटेली करना होता है. आसक्ति भी आपकी छूटेगी नहीं. ये अल्टीमेटली जो है मेरी बॉडी, मेरी ये टाइप होती है ना, ये जल्दी छूटेगी नहीं. इसको भी कृष्णा की तरह डाउटेल करना होता है, तभी आसक्ति छूटती है. सो वो हमने वो पढ़ा था ना कि धीरे धीरे सेकंड चैप्टर में एक एक पॉइंट आया था, तब जन्म अहंकार आया था, ये आया था, सब आया था. तो जब तक ऑल्दो नहीं तो यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू एंटर किंगडम ऑफ गॉड. वहां पर भी वही आया था. सेकंड चैप्टर का कंक्लूजन वाज दैट ओनली. So, sa vidyate is far much better. That's what vidyate, Krishna bol rahe, is far much better. So, speaking about detachment, as manifested through detached action is better, Detachment as manifested with the detached action is better. So, yes, tu indriyāṇi manasā niyamyārabhate Arjuna. So, what does this mean? Means yes, tu. Tu means what? We have been discussing this first chapter also many times with this. Tu means kintu. Kintu means something which is opposite. When you speak about the opposite, so tu is used generally when you use something about the opposite. So, what Krishna has spoken in the previous shloka about mithyācāraḥ. So, he is exactly speaking of the opposite side of the. He's speaking about the opposite side, and he's saying, India का फोन बज रहा है. So, He has spoken about mithyācāri in the previous shloka, and he is speaking exactly opposite here about sadācāri. About sadācāri means it means like he used those words, no, like regulated householder and all those. So when you say regulation का मतलब क्या होता है? जो सदाचार है ना, सदाचारी means आप ज़्यादा वो डिटेल में नहीं जाएंगे. Just for a simple meaning I'm telling. So mithyācāri, person who restrains his karmendriyas but mind performs those actions. Sadācāri is the person who performs actions at karmendriya level but controls his mind. Means he doesn't want to enjoy them, but he is working. Okay, for them, but भोगों से दूर रहने के लिए. So means with the regulation, कैसे niyamyārabhate. Niyam means one which is regulation. There is some rule. Based on that rule, he is controlling the senses. It is not whimsically. Okay, based on the rules. Niyamyārabhate. So, like, in going forward, 3.34, you open, the Krishna speaks of that, there are principles. 3.34, he says, read just the translation, 3.34. There are rules and regulation, principles. There are principles to regulate attachment, he says. Yastvindriyāṇi, yaste ragadvesha vyavasthito, tayorna vashamagachet. Yeah. Just read the translation.
There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment
And aversion.
because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-love.
So there are principles to regulate the attachment and aversions. So there are principles. So principles in the Shastra is given, and one who follows that principles, okay, and is not attached, that is person, the sadācāri, that person is much better. Ārabhate means who starts performing. आरभते इज आरंभ करना. तो सदाचारी जो आरंभ करता है, क्या आरंभ करता है? कर्मेंद्रिय कर्मयोगम. क्या आरंभ करता है वो? कर्मेंद्रियों को कर्मयोगम में लगाना. ही स्टार्ट्स परफॉर्मिंग कर्मा इन योगा with his karmendriyas. So that is where he practices karma yoga, which we call it as work in Krishna consciousness. Because karma yoga, how do you convert it? With the help of buddhi, right? So with the help of buddhi, and that is where buddhi yoga we discussed. We call, when we discussed buddhi yoga, we said, why we call it as work in Krishna consciousness? Because you know about the rules and you know about the regulations of the shastras, and based on that you work. And what are this rules and regulations, niyama? ये नियम क्या है, रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस क्या है? अब वो आपका पॉइंट आता है, वर्णाश्रम. वर्णाश्रम, ओके. अब ये रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस क्या है? वर्णाश्रम, वन ऑथराइज्ड बाय द वर्णाश्रम, वर्क्स ऑथराइज्ड इन एवरी वर्णा एंड एवरी आश्रम. हर वर्णाश्रम में जो रेगुलेशन के रूल्स बताए गए हैं उसके लिए अलग बुक है. ऑफकोर्स भगवत गीता डज नॉट डिफाइंड ऑल दोस, बट authors do it, and so that's why Srila Prabhupada is writing. He quotes one. The prime swartha gati, or the goal of interest, is to reach Vishnu. The whole institution of Varna and Ashrama is designed to reach to that goal of life. Ultimately, the goal of life is, means like second chapter also ends with Brahma Nirvana Mritchati. You attain that Brahma Nirvana. So that is where the everybody's swartha gati, the ultimate goal. We have been speaking of this ultimate goal. One has to have goal. So his self-interest is to reach Vishnu. And this Varna and ashrams are designed accordingly so that one reach to that higher goal of life. So in that again, Srila Prabhupada adds in the next line, he says, householder can also reach that destination by regulated service and Krishna consciousness. For self-realization, one can live a life and control life as prescribed by the Shastras and continue carrying out his business without attachment. And in that way, he'll make progress. So, let us understand the philosophy in Bhagavad Gita, means where we can say it, this, I'll say, Bhagavad Gita is like, it does not, last time, last slok mein bola tha, it does not restrict you, okay? But here, it is it engages you. It is an engaging book rather than rejecting book. Bhagavad Gita keeps you engaging rather than reject. That's what we say. It's an engaging book. It will engage you. So in general, in society, the marriage, in a society, a marriage is, or a married order in life is the foundation of social fabric, right? Any social fabric in any society, marriage is a, marriage order is a foundation, that defines the social order, social fabric. So a spiritual society, for a spiritual society, the renounced order is the inspiration for those who are designing renunciation, or those who wants to get out of this material world, who want to achieve the Brahma Nirvana. For them, renunciation is the inspiration, right? But a householder, okay, but a householder, grahastha, the order is, the grahastha household order is the social foundation as well as the financial foundation. Because it is this order only who has to take care of the brahmacharya ashram, who has to take care of the sannyas ashram as well as vanaprastha. Because you will become a sannyasi, nature will provide, and you cannot just live on nature. Sometimes, there is the, the rulers take from the, businessman, and then they equally distribute. It is their duty to take care of the, so the responsibilities on this grahastha ashram falls more, that they can take care of the children as well as the vanaprasthas and sannyas orders. Okay.
Taxpayers.
Taxpayers, or what you will call it as. So,
बस मुझे समझ नहीं श्लोक में कहीं भी वो तो
नहीं
श्लोक में तो बात
don't,
नहीं हो रही
नहीं श्लोक में नहीं, इसलिए मैं बोला थोड़ा फिलॉसफी पीछे समझो। श्लोक पे बात कैसे, बात यह है कि गृहस्थ हाउस होल्डर की बात हुई है। ओके, तो गृहस्थ
नहीं हुई है,
गृहस्थ की नहीं, कैसे
मीनिंग
नहीं?
पे बात हुई है
क्या?
ठीक है, श्लोक क्या कहता है तो मैं समझ रहा हूँ, मैं ट्रांसलेशन पढ़ रहा हूँ। वो कह रहा है कि जो सदाचार है वो अपने दिल से अपने सारे इंद्रियों को काबू में करता है और किसी चीज में लगाव नहीं रखता, और वो कर्म योग में कन्वर्ट करता है।
यस, करेक्ट है।
इसमें कहीं भी गृहस्थ वर्ड यूज नहीं हुआ मेरे ख्याल से, तो कहीं भी वो कोई भी हो सकता है, एनीवन, आइदर स्टूडेंट, आइदर मैरिड लाइफ, आइदर सन्यासी, आइदर योगी। उसको क्या करना, अपने मन को से इंद्रियों को काबू करना है और कर्म योग में कन्वर्ट करना है। आई डोंट, मुझे कहीं से भी इस श्लोक में कर्म मतलब उसकी बात नहीं हुई है कि गृहस्थ की बात नहीं लगी। ठीक है, आप तशरीह मफहूम समरी में कहा है, पर श्लोक में तो कहीं गृहस्थ की बात ही नहीं हो रही, तो कोई भी हो सकता है, एक स्टूडेंट भी हो सकता है।
जो इनिशिएटिव करने वाले उनके बारे में अपन बात कर सकता है।
कोई भी कर सकता है, कोई भी कर सकता है, स्टूडेंट भी कर सकता है ना। एक स्टूडेंट है, वो अपनी सारी इंद्रियों को, सारे जो कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ माइंड अपनी पढ़ाई में लगा के और पढ़ाई को अर्पण करके, कर्म योग उसका भी हुआ।
ओके,
नो नीड उसको मैरिट करना भी।
ओके, ओके, फाइन, ठीक है।
मीनिंग में कह रहा हूँ, मीनिंग में लिखा हुआ है, बस श्लोक में कहीं गृहस्थ की वर्ड नहीं आया कोई, मतलब
नहीं, अब नहीं, मैं ये थोड़ी बोल रहा हूँ, लाइक सदाचारी, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दी गृहस्थ। ओके, सो ओके, सब ठीक है, मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा, तो दैट्स व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू, लाइक आई विल कम टू यू, लाइक श्रीला प्रभुपाद, इसलिए मैंने बोला ना, श्रीला प्रभुपाद ने कहा हाउस होल्डर कैन ऑल्सो रीच द डेस्टिनेशन बाय रेगुलेटेड सर्विस। मैंने यही कहा था, फॉर सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन वन कैन लिव कंट्रोल लाइफ एंड प्रिस्क्राइब बाय द शास्त्रास एंड कंटिन्यू कैरिंग आउट हिज बिजनेस। So that's where I said we'll understand the philosophy here, why it has been said. Okay, so that is where I'm telling you the entire fabric lies on the grahasthas. So sometimes there is a polemic, there is a polemic. Polemic is, you understand, no? Like choose karna hai. Sometimes there is an option, means like, polemic I say, which is better actually. Polemic में ये होता है कि कौन सा better है. Whether a grahastha ashram is better, whether a sannyas ashram is better. Because take it in that sense that, for, enjoying senses or restraining senses, that is where exactly grahastha ashram and will take the sannyas ashram. Okay, so which is better? There is generally a polemic between them. So which order is better? So so for that polemic, that is what I wanted to say, because Bhagavad Gita is not a book which makes you reject anything. It engages you. So here you have to understand, that we should not go into that kind of polemic. That's what I said, not either this or that. We should not go into that kind of confrontational approach, because by doing that, we miss the cooperative nature of this, spiritual endeavor which is envisaged by our varnashram system. Because varnashram system is one which comprehends for you to progress towards your spiritual life. One can go from brahmachari to grahastha, grahastha to vanaprastha to sannyas, or from brahmacharya to sannyas directly. So progressively, these are all progressive ashrams which help you towards reaching the supreme goal. So sometimes आप होता है ना, कभी कभी आप बच्चों में रहता है, 5th क्लास में रहते हैं, 7th क्लास में प्रमोट कर दिए जाते हैं. क्यों कर दिए जाते हैं? नहीं, पास नहीं किए बिना भी. इंटेलिजेंस, बेस्ड ऑन इंटेलिजेंस. वही ना. तो आजकल होता नहीं है, बात की बात है. यू पीपल डोंट गेट नाउ डेज, नो. पहले होते थे. पहले डबल पास कर देते थे. फ्रॉम 5th they used to put it in 7th. So they used to say 1 year, but nowadays it's not possible. So progressive nature, then we try to forget. So progressive, it is progressive. So this jumping of class is a progressive thing. Okay, because of his intelligence. So now that is the reason I said we should not fall into that, this is better or that is better. Karma yoga is better or jnana yoga is, or sannyas yoga is only better. So in case of sannyas yoga, there is one Jabal Upanishad. खाली 20-25 श्लोक है जाबल उपनिषद में, which deals only sannyasa order and says that whenever one gets an inspiration, आपने बोला ना 1 सेकंड, हाँ नहीं जाबल है. Whenever one gets the inspiration to renounce, one should immediately. Same thing Prabhupada also says, sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. How much time? How much time will I take to go back to Goloka? So then Srila Prabhupada, you are not reading my books? Within one moment. What did Krishna say? Sarva dharman parityajya. Are you doing? So, are you doing? So Jabal Upanishad also give you the same thing. If you have decided to go for renunciation, okay, then it just takes 1 second for you that you can renounce. So if a brahmachari feels that he can renounce because he has the determination, he has the willpower for purification, then fine, he can renounce. He can renounce the grahastha and vanaprastha order. He can directly become a sannyasi and take up the sannyas order. So for a society to function, the prime movers of the society are going to be who? गृहस्थ, राइट? बिकॉज गाइडेंस देने वाले संन्यास आश्रम वाले बैठे हैं. बट सोसाइटी टू मूव फॉरवर्ड, generation after generation, millennium after millennium, who is going to do that? Grahasthas has to do that. So that is where Prabhupada quoted about Grahasthas. So although today in India, like sannyasi, people give a big respect. People give it's already 1:50, na? We have to stop. So we'll just complete and stop. आज सन्यासियों को बड़ा रिस्पेक्ट दिया जाता है. ओके, क्यों दिया जाता है? क्योंकि वो मीन्स लाइक it's a stage which has to be revered. कोई सन्यासी दिखा है, प्रणाम कर लेते हैं, ये कर लेते हैं. So same चीज, this monkhood thing existed in Christianity also. Okay, but इंडिया में भी कई abuses हुए, Christianity में भी कई abuses हुए. Okay, because of that what happened? The society underwent a change. उन्होंने नो मंकहुड बोल के एक प्रोटेस्टेंट्स का समाज खड़ा कर दिया. ओके, मीन्स लाइक उनमें है ना कैथोलिक्स में मंकहुड कंपलसरी है. जब हम प्रोटेस्टेंट्स पे आते हैं तो वो लोग नो मंकहुड बेसिस पे आ गए. बिकॉज वाई? बिकॉज ऑफ सो मेनी मिसयूजेस व्हिच हैपेंड. सो इन दैट केस द सोसाइटी अंडरवेंट अ चेंज, और एंड मेनी सोसाइटीज लाइक देयर आर नो सच सन्यासी काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स एट ऑल ओनली. Okay, they just say enjoy life and that's it. So it's interesting that in India, why did this Grahastha order go forward? And because it ये जो Grahastha order था, it was it gained importance in Indian culture. It not only became materially prosperous, because India was called Sone ki chidiya, right? It was called the golden bird, right? Because, and who made that prosperous thing? Only because of the Grahasthas, only because of the Grahasthas. Okay, means अभी वो kings है ये जो भी all Grahasthas, Grahasthashram, because the entire earth was being हाँ हाँ तो वही गृहस्थ आश्रम की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं, वर्ण की नहीं बात कर रहा हूँ. ओके, वर्ण में वैश्य वो अलग बात होता है, तो गृहस्थ आश्रम होता है. द गृहस्थ had made this. So now मैं ना कोई बोल सकता है नहीं भी इंडिया तो ऑलरेडी धर्म का लैंड था, तो धार्मिक रहने के वजह से वी वर सोने की चिड़िया. ओके, दैट इज ऑल्सो वन पॉइंट टू इट, बट यू नो दैट धर्म प्रोड्यूसेस अर्थ, बिकॉज शास्त्र ये बोलता है ना धर्म अर्थ को प्रोड्यूस करता है. ओके, धर्म ऑल्सो प्रोड्यूसेस अर्थ, but the artha to manifest, it should come out in some form, right? Who becomes the instruments? कौन बनता है इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स? धर्म, हाँ, गृहस्थ. या अब गृहस्थ बोल सकते हो, अब ह्यूमन बींग्स बोल सकते हो. जानवरों को तो है नहीं ना धर्म लाने की प्रवृत्ति. इट इज ओनली द ह्यूमन रेस. ओके, within that human race, grahastha plays a major role. That is where actually, so the major chunk is being worked by them, and they played a crucial role in making this sone ki chidiya, or you know, we can call it as prosperity. And that prosperity ko acquire karne ke liye many people had come and invaded India, like, you know, to acquire that prosperity. So work in that karma yoga sense now. And that, you know, when you do that karma yoga in that sense, then you would become, you know, a kind of, that when you do for, you know, work in that karma yoga, that gives you an ethos of renunciation. Now you will say, I am an individual working for my family. How does it give the sense of renunciation? When I say I work for my family, okay, that is extended worth of this thing. But when I say my family, that means I'm not working for myself. I'm working for somebody else also, right? So you start working for somebody else also, which is your own family. And then when you increase your circle, you go to the near and dear relatives and society and then country and then to your ultimately to your paradharma, which is Krishna. In this way, when you increase your this thing, ultimately, you know, and when you do your work dutifully, like, you know, that you go to office, that is duty. When you do this dutifully work, you don't do it for yourself, and ultimately you do it in this way, and then that is where exactly you come to a point, you become to paradharma, and that is where Srila Prabhupada has mentioned sincerity, a sincere householder. Sincerity means what? One who has lived a controlled life based on the Shastras, and one who carries out his own business without attachment. Because the moment I start earning, I do it first for myself, my family, then my society, then my country, you know, you pay taxes and all those, and then to Krishna, you know. So that is where exactly, so he's giving that analogy, you know. So if you do your work sincerely, he's given that sweeper analogy, right? A sweeper is better than a charlatan meditator, a person who is just pretending. So it is, you know, in that sense, I used to say that, you know, it is always better to dovetail our activities towards Krishna, even though it appears to be, you know, performed for namesake. Because if you bring that in the form of the duty, then automatically that sense of duty increases, and you will start doing it selflessly, and that is where exactly that becomes your paradharma, the supreme Lord Dharma. And a Krishna conscious person, that is where exactly directs his karmendriyas towards that. So the grahastha, if he is directing his karmendriya, that is, you know, mostly it is related to vani, hands and legs. Okay, so discharge these activities for the purpose of Krishna consciousness. Okay, initially it may be a namesake, but then, you know, going forward, so that is where exactly it comes out. You know, आपने बोला कि एक गुरु का ऑर्डर आया तो मिथ्याचारी है क्या? नहीं, कृष्णा जब ये कह रहे हैं मुझे ऑब्जेक्ट की तरह देखो, you dovetail towards him. It's for namesake, okay, whatever. But then, you know, you will come to that level because you do it over a period of time as your duty, and it will become your dharma only. Like, you know, as a selfless dharma, a selfless activity. And then, so अब बाकी दो एक्टिविटीज आप बोलो कि भाई जो कर्मेंद्रिय में बाकी जो मीन्स उधर उपस्थ जो मैं उपस्थ के जो दो ऑर्गन्स है उसको क्या करोगे? तो भाई ठीक है, उसको तुम अभी डायरेक्टली कृष्ण की सेवा में नहीं लगा सकते, बट द क्वेश्चन इज टू मेंटेन दिस बॉडी यू हैव टू यूज दोस प्रॉपरली। अगर वो भी सही पर नहीं आए तो फिर आपकी ये बॉडी डेफिनेटली कुछ ना कुछ खराबी देगी, है ना। तो इसीलिए डिस्चार्ज द एक्टिविटीज इन सच ए वे में, आप खाओ ऐसा ताकि आप फ्रेश रहो, आप पियो ऐसा जो कि आप फ्रेश रहो, और अपने समय समय पे अपना काम करते रहो। एंड in that way, if you do, a householder does his work, a brahmachari does his work, a student does his work, then and with selfless interest, with selfless interest। अब क्या होता है ब्रह्मचारी का, क्या होता है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई एम स्टडिंग, what is my selfless interest? I am studying, but what will I do that with that study? हाँ, use for earth, नहीं, that's what you, हाँ, society, स्टडी करेगा कमाई के लिए, कमाई यूज करेगा
शादी करने के लिए,
शादी से फैमिली गृहस्थ लाइफ बढ़ाने के लिए, और उसके बाद में, so that is where exactly Krishna will say, okay, you have to do your work, you will get the benefit also, but you have to forego the benefit। एंड दैट इज वेयर एग्जैक्टली हम बोलते हैं कि भाई ये वो जो भाव है उसमें चेंज आना है, कि हम पूरा कमाई जब कृष्ण को देते हैं तो ऑटोमेटिकली वो रिनंसिएशन का भाव आना शुरू होता है। हाँ, समरी आदमी यही है, समरी आदमी यही है कि मैं ढोंगी बन के आपको, हाँ अच्छा, मैं बोला प्रभु जी कुछ पूछ रहे हैं, आपने सोचा मैं ढोंगी या मिथ्याचारी बन के अपना ये कार्य नहीं कर सकता, उससे मैं अपने आप को भी धोखा दूंगा और दूसरों को भी धोखा दूंगा। उसको वो कंपेयर करते हैं कि एक व्यक्ति जो सीधा साधा अपना कार्य करके निकल जाता है, वो कृष्ण बोलते हैं मेरी समझ से काफी ये इन ढोंगियों से बेटर है, ढोंगियों से। हाँ,
ऐसा ऐसा आप समझ लीजिए कि निर्बंधे कृष्ण संबंध है, कृष्ण से संबंध रख के आप जो भी करेंगे, ऐसा ही नहीं प्रभु,
एग्जैक्टली,
कृष्ण संबंध है,
युक्तम वैराग्य उच्यते,
वैराग्य उच्यते, वो सबसे अच्छा वैराग्य है। आप जिस पोजीशन में हैं उस पोजीशन में रह के काम करिए, बट सेंटर में कृष्णा होना चाहिए।
अरे कृष्ण, थोड़ा फिलॉसफी इसलिए बोलना पड़ता है कभी कभी,
लास्ट में
समरी है बहुत जरूरी है, ठीक है, अच्छा है, नेक्स्ट टाइम ऑनवर्ड्स विल जस्ट रिकैप वन समरी, अच्छा पॉइंट है। हरे कृष्णा, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय।